Welcome back, everybody. It's been a very long time.
Yes, it has.
Tom, how have you
Been
been
very
for the
busy.
last, 10 minutes?
Good. I went to the bathroom.
Me too. It was great. It's by far the most exciting thing I've done all day besides lose all my progress on Diablo 3.
Yeah, that sucks.
Anyways, but yes, we are back to start off February. We had to finish off January 1st, which is weird. But
Yes.
now we're back to start February, which is is our top 10 month. So every year we're going to do a top 10 list. Last year it was top 10 favorite movies, and this year it is top 10 favorite movies, top 10 favorite games, and this year it is top 10 sequels.
Yes.
Same format as last year. Today we cover 10 through 6. Next Sunday we cover 5 through 1. The following Sunday we'll go into the video games. Top 10 sequels, 10 through 6, 5 through 1. This is just a individual game that has to be a sequel.
This is a movie, Tim.
Movies.
Talking about movies.
My bad. It's been a long day, and I got very little sleep last night. But no, So top 10 movies. One per franchise. Sorry, or else, I'd have Star Wars on here like 3 times.
All the Star Wars movies.
Not the prequels. I guess if you count number 1 as the first one.
What prequels?
Yeah. But no, it can only be one per franchise. So you can't have, example, Star Wars Episode 5, Star Wars Episode 6, Star Wars Episode 7. So you have to take your pick of which one you want. And it has to be a sequel. Does not mean that the sequel is better than the original. It just has to be a sequel.
Yep.
Sound good, Tom?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's get started. You want me to start or you want to start?
Go for it.
All right, I will start. Number 10. Wait, 10. Wait, is that 1 or is that... You know what? Whatever, screw it. Number 10 for me. Actually,
kind of a big difference.
I think this was my number 10 last year as well. But it is Lethal Weapon 2. Lethal
I think
Weapon
it was
2.
your number 10.
It was just Lethal Weapon, like the series was my number 10. But why is this on my list? Because I have no reason not to put it on here is why. Because it has Leo Getz. You get it? Leo Getz what you want? No. It's everything that made the original great with, Riggs and Murtaugh, but better, funnier, more action, more comedy. Joe Pesci was amazing as Leo Getz because he did the stupid okay, and he was just such a he was like the center of the story, and he was just such an idiot the whole time. And then of course Murtaugh was pretty much almost on his way out from the police force, always talking about he's going to retire. Riggs is no longer suicidal, which is good compared to the original movie. But no, I absolutely the Lethal Weapon 2 is... I don't think it's better than the original because the original has that first time feel to it, but it was just one that expanded on what the original did. It kind of took more liberties, tried to make it better. I don't know if it succeeded in every area, but I thought I thought the comedy was better. Like that buddy cop comedy, I thought that was better, but the story was just so crazy and out there, like them jumping from the 20th story in a hotel and landing in the pool and surviving. That wouldn't happen, but it's a movie. It's Hollywood, right?
It's a movie I've never seen. I haven't seen any of these movies.
Really?
None of them.
We'll have to sit down sometime and watch them together.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Maybe you'll let me borrow them.
My number 10 is Lethal Weapon 2. Tom, what do you got coming at the top?
So my number 10 is a movie that I know you haven't seen.
Is it Ex Machina?
You know why I know you haven't seen it? Because I lent it to you a year and a half ago.
John Wick. John Wick is the first one in the series.
It's not a sequel.
I know it's not.
The Raid 2 is one of the best action movies you will ever see. Not quite as good as the first one, I don't think. I like that the first one is it takes place in a single area and it's 90 minutes. The second one is kind of sprawling and it takes 2.5 hours, but it is some of the coolest fight scenes you will ever see in a movie ever. Pretty much the main character from the first movie, he survives. Spoiler alert. After the fact.
I've seen that.
But and he ends up going to prison, and he befriends some guy in prison who's it ends up like has connections to essentially the mob. Um, and there's one of the craziest fight scenes ever is like the entire prison just starts a riot and they all start beating each other up, and he gets trapped in a bathroom stall and is surrounded by like 20 people, and he like defends himself from all of them in this bathroom stall. It is crazy. But from there on out, it's just ridiculous scene after ridiculous scene.
Kind of
Some
like
of
the
the most
first
brutal,
movie.
bloody. Yeah, but it's just so good. It's pure action. The story isn't super important, but it's some of the coolest fight scenes you'll ever see. Best choreography for that.
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie to show you how brutal the mob guys are. There's a scene where they've taken a guy hostage. I don't know if he's from the first movie or not. I couldn't really remember, and to be honest, it doesn't really matter. But they've taken him hostage. They drive him out into the middle of nowhere, and they have him blindfolded, and they tell him to get on the ground on his knees. Uh, and one guy pulls out a shotgun, and before anything happens, I had noticed when I got into the theater that there was an old lady sitting in the front row. And I was like, I don't think she knows what she's in here for. She definitely went into the wrong theater because they execute that guy on screen like right away, shoot him in the head, and like his body falls into a shallow grave. And she immediately got up and left the theater. It was
How have I
hilarious.
not seen this movie before? Oh wait,
Well, maybe I could get that and John Wick back at some point, Tim.
probably not.
Like for real.
Probably
If
not.
do you even have those movies anymore? Be honest.
I do somewhere.
Do you know where they are?
They're in my cabinet somewhere. I'm sure I'll
Are you
find them.
sure?
Yeah, they are.
Do you
I
know
have
where
them
they
somewhere.
are?
Yes.
I'd like those back at some point.
They're in my house.
Two of my favorite action movies ever.
Anyways, number 9. So Tom, number 10, got the Raid 2, the sequel. And I
Yes.
got Lethal Weapon 2. Tom, you go ahead and take number 9. What you got, man?
Sure. My number 9 is Fast 5.
Yep.
The fifth movie in the amazing Fast and Furious franchise. It was kind of hard for me to choose between 3, 5, and 7 for this one.
Which one's the
But
most
I just
recent?
think 7.
Okay.
No, 5 is the most recent.
Well, that
Duh.
makes sense.
Nah, 7 is most recent. But I think 5 is the best one overall. It took the series back after 4, which was like a huge letdown. It was very self-serious for some reason.
Yeah.
And like kind of boring. And only really had like one big scene in it. This one just kind of turned it into the insane action movie that it is now. It introduced The Rock's character, which is always
Uh-oh. I think we're losing Tom. And I think he's gone. Anyways, they're trying to get the call back. We will see what happens. No, so the Fast and the Furious series. The one problem I have with the Fast and the Furious series. Let me try calling him back real quick. The only problem I have with the Fast and the Furious series is pretty much like between number 4 and 7, I kind of forget which ones are which. I really don't remember, which kind of sucks. But, yeah. So we'll get Tom back here in just a minute, but I will move on with my number 9. Number 9 for me is one that I believe Tom has never seen either. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Friday the 13th and another series that's on my list from last year, Nightmare on Elm Street, hold a very near and dear place in my heart for very simplistic reasons. Let me change this up real quick. Yeah, for very simple reasons. Why? Because I watched them a lot as a kid. I was that kid that watched a lot of scary movies, and I absolutely loved them at the same time, while being not scared, but intrigued by all the different characters that were going on. Oh wait, I got a message from Tom. His internet just stopped working. That's good news, right? But no, so the reason I love the Friday the 13th series so much was because they were campy, slasher films, which was what I guess I enjoyed as a kid. And I still enjoy today, but just not as much. I like a more serious, good horror movie, not the grotesque horror movie that is like Saw or anything like that, but just like a good, genuine, campy story. It's the reason I like number 7 so much, though, compared to the rest of them, why I chose this over, we'll say, like number 4 and 5, which are usually like the universally praised sequels, was because I felt like Jason actually had like a real adversary rather than some chick that's a virgin or some girl that chose not to go skinny dipping in the pond. It was just a normal, well, not normal. I guess she was she could control things with her mind, which was really, really cool. I like that a lot about it. I guess because towards the end of the movie, she can kind of see like the premonitions of Jason throughout the movie, but at the end of it, she actually fought Jason, and it actually felt like a real fight rather than just her running and screaming. She was standing there face to face in the house with him, and it was more her fighting than him because he just would have cut her in half, and the movie would have been over. But the ending of it was kind of not that great to me. But just the adventure getting there for like the last 10 minutes of it, 10, 15 minutes was really good. Plus all the kills were really great. Like one guy gets pegged with like a hook of some kind. Her mom gets, there's Tom calling back, I think. He's back.
I don't know what happened.
Anyways, I'm talking about my number 9 right now. I'm almost done. But it's Friday the 13th.
What is your number 9?
Friday the 13th, okay. Part 7, The New Blood. But what
Nice.
I liked, the kills in that movie as well were pretty awesome. I really liked he had like a weed whacker, and he used it on, he used it on the doctor actually, not her mom. But her mom, he used, I think it was just like he used the same thing on her too. And I think I can't remember now, but it was the doctor and the mom died together pretty much. And it was awesome. The doctor was actually not that nice of a guy, and you were happy to see him off. But of course, you see a bunch of teenagers that are just smoking pot. You see some girls without their tops on. It's a normal Friday the 13th. But just the thing that I liked about it the most that stood out was that you actually had a real adversary for Jason, rather than, like I said, some girl that's just running around trying to hide, and then eventually somehow tricks him and gets away, and it's great. But yeah, have you seen any of the Friday the 13th, Tom?
No. I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. I've seen the first one of that. I saw like 5 minutes at one point of Freddy vs. Jason, where Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child is in it. Mm-hmm. And that's about it. I've never actually watched any of those.
So I mentioned about Fast and the Furious. So my only problem with Fast and the Furious was between 4 and 6, maybe 4 and 7, I kind of forget which one's which. That's my only problem.
So 5 is the one
is that with
where
the
they steal the one where they rob the bank and they are dragging the safe behind them.
With the Chargers.
And number 6 is the one where they're on the world's longest runway.
What was it? Somebody did, I think the movie
Getting on the plane.
Matt Pat did like a thing like the runway was like 43 miles or something like that, or it was something ridiculous, because I even said that as I was watching. I was like, this is the longest runway in the world. Was number 4, was that whenever they were down, because he was a cop again, Brian O'Connor was, right?
Yeah, that's when they're drug running in Mexico.
Okay. That makes sense then.
Yep. Yeah, so 4 is really boring. 5 is with The Rock, and they're in Brazil, and they steal the vault. And then 6 is the one where they have to defeat the world's longest plane on the longest runway.
And then 7's the most recent one. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, it's not that they're bad movies. It's just that they all kind of blended together for me. But I've only watched most of them once. Besides, like 1, 2, and 3, I've seen multiple times. But 4, 5, and 6, just because they're not new anymore, I kind of forget which one's which. But I remember number 7 because I've seen that the most recent. And I remember the awesome scene with the bus whenever they were trying to get that hacker girl back. That was like one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire series was that one.
Oh, for sure. That whole thing was crazy.
Yeah, plus you had Ludacris. All right, so number 8. Did you want to say anything else about Friday the 13th? I know you haven't seen it, so.
Never seen them.
All right. Number 8, I guess I will start off. It is Army of Darkness. Please tell me you've seen this movie. Come on.
No.
Oh, my God.
Do I own this movie? Yes. Have
You
I
own
seen
it?
this movie? No.
All right, so Army of
I know.
Darkness was
So I've seen like 10 minutes on TV one time, and I was like, what is this? This is crazy.
no, Army of Darkness is a sequel to Evil Dead 2, which is a of sequel remake of number
It's
one.
a high budget remake of the
Yeah,
first one.
but it got the number 2 title. Army of Darkness is pretty much Evil Dead 3, the Army of Darkness. But Ash, Bruce Campbell Ash, goes back in time to like I'm not sure when it is, but it's like the medieval times, and it's great because he has like a chainsaw and like a boomstick, and people don't know what to make of it because all they have are like bow and arrow and swords. But the thing I love about this movie so much, it's probably my favorite in the series of the 3 movies, not counting the remake, but even I still think it's better than the remake, is because it didn't take itself too seriously. It was self-aware of what was going on, and it made a joke about it. But also the stop motion skeletons, pretty much
Yes.
like a throwback to like the old movies, because Sam Raimi loves like the classics, like Jason and the Argonauts. It was just so well done and so ridiculous at the same time that I just you can't not watch this movie and not laugh and have a good time. Ash is also pretty much like this big head, manly man's man, I guess, like which has carried on into the TV show Ash versus the Evil Dead, which I need to watch that series.
I heard it's pretty
Since
good.
I've heard it's amazing. I've seen episode 1 and it was really good. It was Evil Dead. It was a
Yeah.
classic Evil Dead. But Ash is pretty much just like that man's man, and
What's up, Hot
he-
Taco?
he knows it, but it's he lives in the past. Is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But Army of Darkness was so great because that last like 30 minutes of it, whenever he goes to get the Book of the Dead, so he can go back to his time, he doesn't do it correctly, and he reawakens like all this different like evil things. The Evil Dead, pretty much. He reawakens all that, and then there's like an evil Ash that he morphed off of himself, which was really weird but really cool. Comes back and leads that evil army to attack him, and they also have like the princess who became like the Bride of Frankenstein looking thing, which I think was another throwback to the old movies. But it was just so well done. The comedy was on point every single time, and pretty much the whole entire like 90 minutes of runtime, you're not bored from start to finish. It just feels like a nice long, awesome comedic journey with fun characters.
Yeah, I've always meant to go back and watch it because I've heard such good things about it, and I think that's right up my alley. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of horror movies, but when you throw in the comedy aspect, that's where it really gets me. And we are talking about our top 10 movie sequels. We're going to go 10 through 6. One sequel per franchise. Not necessarily the sequel being better than the original, but some of our favorite movie sequels.
And so far we got my number 10 is Lethal Weapon 2, number 9 Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and number 8 Army of Darkness. And then Tom, your number 10
was Raid 2,
and then
Fast 5. And then my number 8 is Jackass 3.
Oh man, that is the only movie I would say I recommended people to watch in 3D. That is the only time I've ever recommended a movie to watch in 3D.
I am exactly the same way. Like, I love the fact that they use the James Cameron 3D camera technology from Avatar. They use that exact same camera in Jackass 3. And obviously, it's the last full Jackass movie that they made and probably ever will make because of Ryan Dunn's unfortunate passing. And, it's not nearly as ridiculous as Jackass 1 or 2 or the original show, but I thought the callbacks that they made to some of those earlier skits and some of the new ones in there were just absolutely hilarious. Like, it was all over the commercials and the previews and stuff, but where they have the big hand in their office, and it's like they go and say, "Hey, high five," and then the thing just smacks him and knocks him over, is absolutely hilarious. The one where they flower people with it is great.
Was 3 the one?
Anytime where they do the skit where Preston, the big fat guy, and
Jason
and Wee Man are in it, and like Preston goes into a porta potty and it sounds like he's shitting himself to death, and then Wee Man comes out dressed in the same type of clothes and stuff. That stuff always gets me. And then the greatest 3D scene of all time where they shoot the dildo gun.
And you're like
in
looking
slow motion
closer
in 3D.
and closer at it, trying to figure out what it is.
Yep,
No,
and then you
was-
see, oh, it's flying dildo, and then it's like going through stuff in slow motion, like breaking things. It was just so funny. That's my favorite, like turn off your brain and just enjoy
Yeah.
the movie kind of thing. So
Say
that
was
is,
sorry, was number 3 the one with the boxing glove behind the note, or was that number 2?
yeah, that was number 3 as well.
That was probably one of my, besides the flying dildo scene.
Yeah, where it's like, hi, I love you guys, and
Me and my
my
friends are
name
here,
is
like-
Emily, and me and my friends want to go in, and we want to, yeah, always good. Those guys are great. I love pretty much all of them except for Aaron. I think Aaron is super annoying.
Oh,
He's
is that
easily the worst.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
Aaron's-
likes Aaron.
And now, granted, he has more guts than I do, but like, of
He
all those
whines.
guys, he's easily the biggest whiner out of everything. Oh, why am I doing this, dude? You know what you're getting into.
Chris Pontius had a snake bite the tip of his dick.
Oh yeah, he had it. Yeah, like,
And then Pontius is like, I don't want to do this one. Like, I mean, I get it. It's not something that I would want to do either. But it's like, dude, Pontius just took a snake to his dick. I guess I kind of need to like ride this fire hose that while it's shooting off water.
right? Yeah,
you
like
know.
I love those guys. Like Johnny Knoxville is incredible. Pontius and Steve-O and all of them are absolutely great. So it was a nice send off. I don't think they should make any more of the regular Jackass movies. Like Bad Grandpa, I really enjoyed stuff like that where they do characters. Because even they had to do Bad Grandpa because everyone knows who they are now. So it's the only way they can get reactions anymore. So I'm totally fine with that being the last Jackass. And if Knoxville and some of the other guys want to keep making those spin-off movies based off some other skits and stuff, go for it. But yeah, I thought that was just a good send-off for the Jackass guy.
I went and saw Bad Grandpa like the day that it came out. Me and my wife did.
Oh yeah, me too.
And yeah, it was fantastic. But the scene where they're in the diner and like the kid is like farting, and then the grandpa's like, "Watch what I can do," and he like shits all over the wall, and then like I started laughing so hard. And my wife was laughing, like chuckling, but then he's like, "Oh my God, Grandpa, you sharted." My wife lost her shit and was laughing for like 20 minutes about that one scene. Like
that little kid was so good.
Yes,
he was so good. He made that movie what it was.
Because I was laughing really hard at the bed scene where the bed was like just folding in on him, and then like he would get done, be like, "So how much do you want to pay for it?" Like he was gonna buy it.
The one where he gets his dick stuck in a vending machine or pretends to, and he's like asking people for help, and it's like all stretchy and rubbery, and he's like, "Whoa!" Like I was watching that movie with my dad and my mom because they were down here for Father's Day. I think it was last year. We were having a cookout, and me and my dad were watching it. And she's like, my mom did not think it was funny, but my dad is losing his mind.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, all Jackass 3.
All right, moving on. Tom, what is your number 7?
Number 7 is The Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
That is actually a really good one that's not on my list, but I love that movie.
Yeah, so this is the like 2010, 11, somewhere around there. Entry in the Planet of the Apes series, which holds a special place for me just because I remember watching those movies a lot growing up. Even the really awful like 5th movie and 3rd movie and stuff like that, or 2nd movie. But I really love the Planet of the Apes movies. I think the concept is incredible. Obviously, the first movie ending with one of the best spoilers of all time, like, oh my God, we're actually on Earth. When they find the Statue of Liberty was just mind blowing, and the fact that these new movies that they're making, minus the Tim Burton one, not talking about Tim Burton one, but that these new movies are essentially like, how did it become the Planet of the Apes? I really enjoy that.
Say the Tim Burton,
because it kind of explored.
Wahlberg?
Yeah, because it kind of explored with the sequels, the original sequels, like, okay, so here's the Planet of the Apes, and then we're just going to kind of build out from that. And like, oh, apes go back in time, and they end up in San Francisco and stuff like that. But then these, where it's like, oh, it's present day, and here's Caesar, and here's how he grows up, and what happens to him that makes him essentially form his own colony of apes, and how they end up taking over the world. I just really liked it. I thought Andy Serkis's performance as Caesar is just mind blowing. the fact that that guy has not gotten an Oscar nomination for Best Actor is kind of insane. Just the facial expression, like, the big climactic scene in that movie is Caesar ends up saying no. He yells no at a human, and it's like, oh my god, this ape can talk. But like, you can tell exactly what he's feeling throughout this entire movie just
Yeah.
by the facial expressions that he's making, and that's all Andy Serkis is acting. In the mocap stuff. So I just love the story of, hey, here's this ape, and we
He's super
tried out
intelligent.
this like Alzheimer's formula, Alzheimer's antidote on him, and it didn't quite work for the dad, but it ended up making this monkey incredibly intelligent. And what the fallout was of that. And then I like the sequel, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It was a little less focused on the story and more just on action, but I thought it was really cool as well, just because I love the premise so much. But I thought this was a nice return to form. A kind of science fiction movie that is more about the science rather than like, let's shoot stuff.
Yeah.
I like that it's a little bit more of your thinking man's kind of movie.
Yeah. So this is one that I've never seen any of these in theater. I saw this one. This is the one with James Franco, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I make sure because I can't remember their names.
Yep.
But I've never seen any of the originals. I know of the Mark Wahlberg one, where they pretty much like speak like fluent English and everything else. But I like these two movies so much just because it is, like you said, like you're seeing the planet become the Planet of the Apes in the first
Right.
movie, like how the apes happened. And then the second one is what it's like in the beginning whenever there are like human colonies and like the ape colonies in San Francisco, mainly just San Francisco, not everywhere else. But I just thought that
Right.
they were really good. Like you said, Caesar, the character is amazing. Like because like it reminds me of like Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, where he speaks, but you don't see him speaking, so he has to do all of his expression with this little portion of his face, like with his eyebrows and his eyes and his cheeks. So it reminds me of that a lot.
Yeah.
But more in depth because this character's not talking, he's relating to you with facial expressions pretty much. But I see exactly what you mean. It's amazing.
Yeah, and like, I would definitely recommend the very first Planet of the Apes movie. I think that one still holds up pretty well. The ones after it are very hit or miss. Like, I enjoy them, but I recognize that they're not that great.
Mhm.
But that very first one is still a really good movie, and it was an important movie at the time because it was essentially about like racism and stuff like that. But these new movies don't really go that in depth. But it is I really like these movies, and I want them to make more. But show.
Maybe after I watch Raid 2 and John Wick, I'll watch the original.
Yep, and maybe when I die, you'll put in my casket
You'll
my
be
copies
buried.
of the Raid 2 and
Oh.
John Wick.
He was a good man. Here's your movies back, Tom. All right. Number
Bad
7
person.
for me. Talking about Bane, sort of not. The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. So Batman Begins. I guess this is a different series to me than like the Michael Keaton and Val
Oh, yeah.
Kilmer and George Clooney Batman. I'm not even sure if all four of those I'd say is one Batman. I feel
No,
like
it's
those
Batman Returns.
then
Then it's
Batman
Batman and
Forever.
Robin and Batman Forever are kind of.
is it Batman Forever?
They're-
Yeah, Batman
they're
Forever,
separate.
Then Batman and Robin. Whatever.
Yeah, but they're
They're-
kind of their own separate worlds, but
I
they
feel like
both
there
suck,
are-
so it really cares.
Yeah, I feel like there are three different worlds because you still have. I mean, Alfred's the only continuation of the first four, but you
Yeah.
have Christopher O'Donnell coming back for Robin, and so I feel like Batman and Batman Returns are one movie, then Batman Forever, Batman and Robin's one series, like not one movie but one series, and then the Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises is one series. But the Dark
yeah, for
Knight,
sure.
I remember seeing this opening night at midnight, and I was blown away at how good this movie was. I honestly, when I watched it, I couldn't even tell that Heath Ledger was the Joker. Because when I think of Heath Ledger, I think of like 10 Things I Hate About You, A Knight's Tale,
Pretty boy.
yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
boy rom-com.
The guy that
Yeah.
every girl wants to gawk out with just a pair of like blue jeans and a hat on or whatever with no shirt. But no, he's like
What?
he plays like
Blue-
I don't know.
Blue jeans and a hat with no shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
But no,
Okay.
I loved Heath Ledger in 10 Things I Hate About You. That's like one of my, maybe we'll have to do like next year we'll have to do like a top 10 guilty pleasures, like movies and
Oh,
games.
don't get me started on how much I love rom-coms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my favorite movie genre is definitely like coming of age movies.
Yeah,
Holy
so
shit, I love those
uh
movies.
when I look back at my teenage
Oh my
years,
god.
as a guy, I loved Can't Hardly Wait and I loved 10 Things I Hate About You. Just because not because of Heath Ledger, but I just thought the movies were actually good.
Oh
Like
yeah.
genuinely good movies. They had the good drama, they had the good comedy.
I'm glad we're on the same page here,
Yeah,
Tim.
but anyways, Heath Ledger as the Joker. No, so that Rachel Dawes knowing who Bruce Wayne and Batman are. You have the only thing I didn't like was Harvey Dent. Like I loved him as Harvey Dent, but whenever he became Two-Face, I felt like it was very rushed. But just like the whole story with the Joker was fantastic. Halfway through the movie, you think it's over, but it's not. Like the Joker gets caught, and you're like, oh, cool, we're winding down. But it's like, hey, we still have like another 45 minutes left. He's gonna break out. He's gonna do the hospital stuff. Then he's gonna fight Bruce Wayne with the boats, and it's pretty much from start to finish. I know you don't agree. You think that Batman Begins is better, but
Oh yeah.
I just feel like this is the best one in the series. But Batman Begins had all that lead up to it. I felt like this had the most payoff, and then The Dark Knight Rises was. I mean, I liked it, but it just wasn't what The Dark Knight was to me. But the Joker is
Hey,
also
Tim.
like the most iconic villain for Batman, and I feel like Heath Ledger.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you had I can't remember the guy that played the original Joker in the TV series with Adam West, but then you have Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, and
Mark Hamill's voice.
No, the new guy that's playing him. Totally just forgot his name.
Oh, Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto, whatever.
Oh God.
Like, I feel like the one I like the most is just the one that's all about mayhem, which was Heath Ledger. They're all different Jokers, but there's also different types of Jokers in the Batman universe. So
Yeah.
it's not like he's trying to become Jack Nicholson's Joker. He was creating his own Joker, which going down that path took him down the path that he's no longer here with us, which I'm not sad about. I mean, I'm sorry, thousands of people, millions of people die a day just because a
Yeah.
movie star died. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, the world's ending. Sorry, Paul Walker, you weren't my life. No, but
Paul Walker's my-
everything about this movie was perfect. Alfred, Bruce Wayne, and Batman, and the Joker. Two-Face I could have done without, but I get why they did it. The whole adding him, but I felt like if they wouldn't have killed him and added him at like the beginning of the next movie to be finished off, but storyline wise it makes sense why he was killed. But I felt like it was just rushed. That was the only complaint I really had about the movie. Besides also it was like almost like 2.5, 3 hours long.
Yeah, so oddly enough, my number 6 is The Dark Knight Rises. Because I think Batman Begins is the best of the movies, and then The Dark Knight Rises, and then The Dark Knight. So
But putting these
I
in
thought
any order is like the worst one is still better than like some of the better movies.
yeah, so The Dark Knight is saying The Dark Knight is the worst of Christopher Nolan's Batman movies is like saying that Twilight Princess is the worst of the 3D Zeldas. Yes, it is the worst comparatively to me, but that still means it's better than most movies
Mhm.
in general. But to me, my whole gripe against The Dark Knight is that movie is so long and is
Yes.
so boring at so many points. So, hey, remember that part where they go to China?
Yeah. For like what was it, like 5
Okay.
minutes total screen time or something like that?
It was long. It's like 15 minutes.
Is it really?
It's insane.
Well, I
The
guess
part
yeah,
on the
because
The part on the boats.
Morgan
takes
Freeman's
so
character
long.
and everything.
Yeah,
I guess you're right.
it's a long scene. The part on the
So I-
boats is so long. I'm surprised that you remembered it because like no one I ever talked to about this movie ever remembers the boat scene.
Well, I think
Everyone's
it's
like,
just that
"Oh,
scene
yeah."
with that scene with what's his name, the big black guy that plays
Debo.
Debo in Friday. He's like, give me that trigger. I'll do what you should have done with it, 5 minutes ago. And he throws it out the window. And it's like that is it's not speaking to like his character, but it's speaking to like, he's like, we're all criminals, we deserve to be here, whereas there's civilians
Yeah.
over there, they don't deserve to be here. And then that civilian guy was about to blow it up, and it's like,
Yep.
oh my god, like for some reason I can relate to that scene so much. But like you said,
Yeah.
I feel like I've probably blacked out the in betweens just because the action scenes in between are so good.
Yeah, and like, yes, Heath Ledger was awesome. I'm glad he won the Oscar, but there are and this is just me, part of me being a huge Batman fanboy and getting really mad being a Batman hipster. But there's so many people who are like, "Oh, I love Batman, Dark Knight." Oh, because Heath Ledger died. Like, if you ask a lot of people about the Dark Knight, and then you're like, "Yeah, did you like Batman Begins?" They'll be like,
Huh?
"What?"
But I've seen Batman Begins, and I played
Yeah.
I played the game on GameCube of Batman Begins.
Well, that's another story, Tim. But it's just I like Batman Begins the most out of all of them because it shows you where Bruce came from and the kind of struggles that he had to overcome in becoming Batman and becoming the kind of person that could put everything else aside to save the city that he loves.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the second one was a lot of just the Joker's crazy, which is cool, and like the bank heist scene in the beginning is awesome.
Great way to start the movie. Great way to start the movie.
Yeah, like that was cool. The whole chase through Gotham is really cool too. But like, the movie is just like, blah, the Joker's so crazy, and there really isn't that much going on there. And I prefer the Dark Knight Rises more.
Thank you for the follow. Sorry.
Yeah, I prefer the Dark Knight Rises more because it actually gives Batman something to go off of, like, because Bruce is like, all right, cool, like,
and he's very broken.
I'm
in
done with
that
being
movie
Batman.
too.
I'm done with being Batman. I am, I'm ready to give it up. I'm tired of this. I have no knee. Like, I'm just broken. Like, I'm going to hand it off to Miranda Tate. And she can be the savior the city needs as someone who can actually like save the city and be a force for good in the city. But then here comes Bane. He's going to like blow it up. So I really love the fight scene between him and Bane. And even though this is the longest of the movies, to me, it goes by so much faster than The Dark Knight because there's no wasted scenes to me.
I don't know. I feel like the getting to him becoming Batman again was like the longest. Like, felt like it was like an hour, but I think it was like 30 minutes ever.
Yeah,
But once he gets to that scene, it flies, like you said, it flies by.
Yeah, and the first half hour is really slow. Especially, I think a part of that too is just, The Dark Knight opens up so quickly, and then it like slows down a lot. This movie takes a bit to ramp up. That is true.
Like the plane scene was cool with Bane,
Yeah.
but then like you said, like it's like a high then a low, and then it does like that nice slow steady climb, like him getting like the braces for his knees and all that stuff. But then once it hits, it's
he breaks out of
running
prison,
a marathon.
Once he breaks out of prison, it's the best Batman has ever been on in a movie. Like it's just nonstop, and I loved it. But yeah, it does take a little bit to kind of climb the hill of the roller coaster, and then once it hits the top where he breaks out, it just.
But it's also building you up to love Batman again, which I get it.
Yeah,
but I already love
and
Batman.
I kind of wish that the movie had ended. It's really weird. Christopher Nolan movies to me, like the endings are all really like really infuriating for the most part. I wish it had ended without them showing like, oh, Batman and Catwoman are all cool
in Paris,
and they're alive. I wish it had just skipped straight to here's Robin finding the Batcave and becoming Batman, and hey, here's the statue of Batman. I thought that would have been awesome. Make you wonder if he sees Batman again. Like show Michael Caine in Italy sitting there drinking his wine or whatever, just like in the beginning of the movie, but just end it there. Like that would have been perfect. I thought it was kind of cheesy with the whole like, hey, he's still alive, but I love Batman, so I want to see Batman alive.
Well, I mean, I get it too. Like, I know why he did that, but at the same time, I'm with you. Like, let me create my own ending. Like, don't answer. Like, I understand. Like, some people want every answer for them, But there's times where I
Yeah.
it makes for good discussion amongst friends that really
Yeah.
care about that stuff, which there are some of us out there, believe it or not, that would probably have like a 3-hour discussion about if Batman survived or not. Like, I would probably be the guy that say, no, he sacrificed himself for his city, the bomb exploded, and we
Yeah.
realized that life can go on without Batman. Where Tom might be the other guy, like, well, Batman can't survive anything. He's Batman, because he would have had
Right.
a
He
jetpack
would have fixed
motorcycle.
autopilot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
but
like Inception, I thought that was an amazing ending.
the
Like,
thing starts
and
spinning
I
and
had
it ends.
me and my friends had a 2-hour discussion in the parking lot of the movie theater from like 11 o'clock at night to like 1 in the morning because we wouldn't stop
You got
talking.
kicked out.
But then Interstellar, which I watched last weekend, has the dumbest ending of all time. No, second dumbest. Lucy is the dumbest ending of all time.
Yes.
But Interstellar, they just
Flash
explained
drive.
too much.
Oh my God.
I just wish that they'd have explained a little less in this movie. But that is my number 6, Dark Knight Rises, the ending of one of my favorite film
Yeah.
trilogies.
So
ever.
cover your 10 through 6 again, real quick, Tom.
Number 10, The Raid 2. Number 9, Fast 5. Number 8, Jackass 3. Number 7, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And number 6, The Dark Knight Rises.
All right, so cover mine real quick before I get to number 6. Number 10, Lethal Weapon 2. Number 9, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Longest title ever besides Don't Be a Menace. Number 8, Army of Darkness. Number 7, The Dark Knight. And number 6, Tom still needs to watch this movie, The Devil's Rejects. Oh my God. This is probably Rob Zombie's, like, what is it called? Like a swan song when it's like the greatest thing ever? Something like that.
No,
This
Swan
is-
Song is like
A goodbye.
his last thing
Yeah.
that he did.
Well, this isn't the last thing he did, and it's probably, far from it. But
God, now I'm gonna be
so,
thinking what that term is.
So, well, it's like his top movie ever. Well, so
Masterpiece.
this is
There's a
is,
French word for it.
Yeah, this
I
is
know what you're
pretty
trying to
much.
say.
This is a sequel, but a lot of the characters are more fleshed out. The original movie was House of a Thousand Corpses. So you see Otis, Bill Moseley returns as Otis. Sherry Moon Zombie returns as Baby. But the one that played Mother Firefly was a different person.
Not Mother Firefly.
Yeah, that was her name, Mother Firefly. I can't remember her actual name in the movie. But all the characters
Jane.
return. But this movie starts off with a bunch of, like, it looks like literally like redneck sheriffs. That's the only way to describe it. Pulling up to this house and pulling out shotguns, have bulletproof vests on. You see Otis waking up in bed with a lady who's been dead for a while. And it just starts off so fast. And then I feel like Rob Zombie, when it comes to like doing the introduction with the music, was perfect. Like, I can't remember the name of the song.
Does
I
he
think
use
it's-
Dragula ever?
No, he uses like old
And it's
classic
a
rock.
waste.
The song Silver Dollar, I think. Like, I got one more silver dollar. I can't remember how it goes. But it's like him and Baby, Otis and Baby getting out from being, raided by the cops with that song playing. It's like the most
Nice.
random thing, but it worked so well. And then they take a bunch of people hostage. They contact Captain Spaulding, which is like their uncle guy, whatever. And then it just keeps going and going. And then it's weird because this is a movie that follows the bad guys. So you should be rooting for the cops because the cop is chasing them because they killed his brother, who was a cop as well. They're chasing, you're watching them and you're rooting for the cop to catch them. Well, the cop just becomes like a straight up vigilante trying to take justice into his own hands. And you actually start rooting for the bad guys. And it's weird how Rob Zombie did this, like, because you see them like torture this one family. They're like some kind of banjo brother and sons or something. I can't remember what they're called now. But they torture this family, they kill them, they put them through hell, and they get away. And by the end of the movie, you're hoping that they get away and they survive and they kill the cop. Well, the send off to this movie was the most perfect thing ever. So he takes them back to the house. The cop catches all them with the help of DDP and another guy. I know Tom wants to see this so he can see DDP yoga. But he takes them back to the house, and pretty much like tries to play like a mind game with them. Like they're all tied to these chairs, and he starts like slamming like crucifix nails through like their hands, through the chairs. It's really messed up. And then he starts like, he lets baby go and he starts chasing her, trying to kill her, and then he ends up getting killed by somebody else that was on the farm, Tiny. Rest in peace. I can't remember the guy's name that played him, but then the ending of it's just so perfect because Tiny goes back into the house. The house is on fire. Goes back into the house, dies in the house, and then the Captain Spaulding, Otis, and Baby, they're all driving off into the sunset in their really nice convertible. Otis stops, and you see him just sitting there, and like, Baby and Spaulding wake up. They look out, and there's just like a row of like cops with guns looking at him, and you're just like, damn. And Freebird's playing in the background, and it's like, man, what's going on? And then, he reaches in the back, pulls out a shotgun, reaches back, pulls out a pistol, then reaches back and pulls out something else, and they just start driving at the cops shooting. And it's great. Like, it actually, you see them die and all this stuff.
Glory.
But yeah, but it's like, what else were they going to do? Like, there was nowhere they could go. So it's just like, fuck it. We're going. Let's do this. But the whole movie just,
nice.
It has like, it's great. And it's not like a horror movie either. It has horror elements, but if you want to watch a horror movie, watch House of a Thousand Corpses. It involves like Dr. Satan, all this other stuff. But this is a movie that is one that, for some reason, like I was trying to watch House of a Thousand Corpses for like a year, and I eventually just found the DVD at a store for like $9. It took forever to find it. And this one actually came out, was in theaters for a while, but it missed me because it came out like my senior year in high school, like 05, 06. But it's one that after it went out to DVD, I bought it immediately, and I've watched it probably like 50 or 60 times since then.
Dang.
It's good. Like you can actually watch sorry, my voice cracked. You can actually watch The Devil's Rejects without watching House of a Thousand Corpses, and you'll kind of know what's going on the entire time. Because the other guy, the guy that plays the sheriff, Odell or Wydell, that's his name, Sheriff Wydell. He kind of explains through like not narrative but like conversations with other people why he's after this group of serial killers. So it's it's great, but there's a lot of
nice.
There's a lot of really good scenes, and there's a lot of like really not so good scenes that are kind of disgusting that Tom would probably barf whenever he sees a guy get his face cut off. But
like this?
Yeah, like no, like the to wear like if I took your skin off to put a mask.
Yeah, so like you take the face off.
Yeah,
ew.
It's
That's
pretty
gross.
Great. But there's a lot of great
unnecessary.
scenes. The one thing that really sticks out in my mind is Otis, Bill Moseley. He's over top one of these guys, and he's like, I want you to pray to your God right now that I do not kill you. And this guy starts praying, and Otis starts making fun of him, like, oh, I can feel the power of the Lord striking me down. Then he stands up, and it's like the perfect, I'm not sure, like, everything was great, but he, like, moves the hair out of his eyes, and he's like, I am the devil. I'm here to do the devil's work. And he just starts beating this dude's face in. You're just like, oh, my God, what just happened? Like, it's so messed up. And that's the point, like, the last point where you see them doing bad things, and then you're really wanting them to die, and then it just starts to shift back to the other side at that point. It's hard to explain. It's one of those movies you just have to watch. It's amazing. I'm going to make Tom watch it one day, I promise.
I will watch it after you watch the Raid 2 and John Wick and give them back to me.
Fine, I'll watch those tomorrow.
So, all right.
No, if we watch this, we got to sit down and watch it together. Maybe before Fastlane, we can sit down and watch The Devil's Rejects.
Only if you watch John Wick and the Raid 2 and give them back to me.
I'll think about it. All right, but anyways, so that is 10 through 6. Wow, that was pretty good. That was a lot of fun. I love talking about my favorite movies. So come back next Sunday, 5 through 1. Then the week after that, we'll be doing our top 10 through 6. What do you think of a Batman movie where Alfred is Robin's dad? That would be weird.
That would be very weird.
Alfred's really old. And Robin...
Maybe
like his grandpa? I feel like that'd be better, but... I don't know, but yes. So come back in 2 weeks. We'll be doing our top 10 through 6 video game sequels of all times, and then, of course, the following week to end out our top 10 month of February, 5 through 1. I'm excited. Then we don't know what's going to happen for March yet, but it's going to be fun. And Prime knows. Thank you very much for the follow. But yeah, so one more recap: 10, Lethal Weapon 2; number 9, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood; number 8, Army of Darkness; number 7, The Dark Knight; and number 6, The Devil's Rejects. Tom, one more again.
The Raid 2, Fast 5, Jackass 3, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes. So once again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys.
Much more civilized stream.
Yes, much more civilized. Thank you for that. But we will see you guys next time.
My itches.